Now, for those of you who are longtime fans of the channel, you know I'm not a fan of a man named Grant Cardone. I've made a lot of videos about him. I personally believe that he's a scammer and an all-around scumbag, and a lot of people on the internet believe that to be true as well. I've made a lot of videos about him. A few months ago, I made a video talking about his lawsuit that he was involved in. There was actually a back and forth lawsuit. He sued another man by the name of Gary Brecka. Gary Brecka sued Grant Cardone back. Gary Brecka is like a health influencer who's trying to help people live better lives through different supplements and stuff like that. And Gary Brecka and Grant Cardone, they formed a business together called 10X Health a few years ago, and they had a falling out, which eventually led to both of them suing each other, right? Now, that lawsuit that I talked about 3 months ago is now over. Both of them have decided to end their competing lawsuits against each other. And in most cases, if they just release some sort of statement, it really wouldn't be that big of a deal. It wouldn't be worth making an entire video over if they just released some post on Instagram saying the lawsuits are over. But Grant Cardone has the unique ability to shove his own foot so far up his own ass. It's truly amazing. It's like a circus act, really. So Grant just constantly makes situations worse and worse. And that's exactly what happened today, earlier today, just a few hours ago. Grant Cardone released a video on his YouTube channel with 2.8 million subscribers called Grant Cardone and Gary Brecka Dispute. And the entire video, it's about 21 minutes long. He wheels Gary Brecka out and basically he humiliates Gary Brecka for like 21 minutes. And Gary's constantly like, yeah, Grant, you're a great guy. I'm sorry I said this about you. I'm sorry I went on this channel and said you were a bad dude and you were trying to scam me and stuff. It's truly impressive how bad this video makes Grant Cardone look on his own channel, right? And it's not just me, right? This feels like a hostage situation where Gary did not want to do this at all, but he was forced to do this in order for the lawsuit to go away. That's what it feels like to me. And in the comments section of his own video, right, you have Grant Cardone's own subscribers saying the same thing. This is one of them. It says, it seems like Gary is in some sort of hostage situation. One person responds with, that's only because he is, right? Another comment was left, passive aggressiveness and underhanded power plays masked as peace. And Grant Cardone hearted that comment, which is really weird. Grant Cardone hearts a bunch of comments that aren't really compliments to Grant Cardone. I don't know if Grant is actually like doing this himself or if someone else is running Grant's channel and they don't really like Grant very much. So they're just hearting all of these comments that are obviously negative to Grant Cardone. I don't really know. But another one says, that was an uncomfortable interview. Again, Grant Cardone hearted that comment as well. So there's another one. So it looks like Gary is being strong-armed into this. Grant only made videos dissing this guy, which Grant Cardone again hearted. And Grant Cardone responds with, sometimes you gotta do what you gotta do to clear things up and tell the truth. Something about this is very fishy. I feel like Gary is being strong-armed into this. Looks how Grant is having to prod him along. The amount of money that it took for Gary to sit there and renege to that list to make Grant and 10X Health look like decent humans is unfathomable. This is probably part of the settlement, which again, Grant Cardone hearted as well. So as you can see, this has not really gone the way that Grant Cardone wanted. Like I said, if they had just released a simple statement, it would have been over. Not a lot of people would have talked about it, but this just makes Grant Cardone look worse. Now, I actually want to show you some clips from this video. If you want the full story of what the lawsuit was about, I'll have a link to the old video that I did 3 months ago. But we're going to take a look at the new clips from this video, and you'll see that there's still a hell of a lot of bad blood between these two individuals. They're going on Grant's channel, acting like everything's cool and everything. But this clip in particular, I want to show you. This clip gets you, man. This clip, you can see that while Gary Brecka is going on and he wants to put this whole lawsuit behind him, he still very much has a lot of anger towards Grant Cardone. So let's actually listen to this clip right here.
I haven't missed my supplements for 4 years.
Yeah.
Except for that
ADHD,
1 week where
all this
I blew
stuff
up.
going on. Yeah, that week you were definitely off your supplements. Yeah, we had a couple 3 a.m. rants there on Instagram.
Did you miss somewhere in there?
I probably missed a few times in there too. Yeah, right around the time that you sued my kids. Right around that time.
I didn't sue your kids.
Yeah, you did.
I didn't personally sue.
No, you didn't personally.
Okay.
Your
So
company.
this is where we don't want to go. Okay.
Oh, you can definitely see some bad blood there. That was he was very pissed about that when he told Grant, you sued my kids. And that's that's really sketchy, Grant. To be suing Gary Brecka's kids in a lawsuit that just involves the two of you, why would you sue his kids? Now, I looked it up, and I believe Gary Brecka's children are underage. So it's not like Grant is suing grown adult children. It seems like he has underage children that Grant involved in the lawsuit, which is just an incredibly scummy thing to do, Grant. I don't know why you would do that. It makes you look terrible. And what makes it even worse is that Grant Cardone left that. This is an edited video that Grant put on his YouTube channel. And he left that clip in where Gary obviously is very upset and talks about Grant suing his children. Why would you leave that in the video? I don't understand that. That does not make Grant Cardone look like a good human being at all. So clearly there's still a lot of bad blood between these two people. All right, so the next scene I want to show clearly shows that this is something that Gary didn't want to do. You'll see from Grant's reaction, he's like prodding him along to talk more about this situation. Gary doesn't want to talk about it. Grant, if you don't know, Grant's all about money. Like he's devolved into this creature where as long as you make a bunch of money, that's all that matters. Nothing else matters. There was a bunch of other issues that Gary had brought up in the initial lawsuit, how he felt that Grant had wronged him and screwed him over basically. And in the end, the only thing Grant cares about is like, hey, you made a bunch of money, right? Tell everyone you made a bunch of money with me. That's all that matters. It doesn't matter if I was a good person or not. You made money. Talk about that, Gary.
Without disclosing how much money you made with us over the last 3 years, 4 years.
Oh, I made millions and millions of dollars. I mean, definitely.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. But look, I need you to talk about it.
Yeah.
Like you got to talk about it. Like,
yeah. I mean,
I'm trying to clear it up, right?
I made millions.
Sell it to
of
the audience, bro.
I made millions of dollars. It completely changed my life. The company went from doing $6-8 million a year to doing well over $100 million a year.
30 times.
Well over $100 million a year. I think we all did very well. We built a lot of shareholder value. We actually, most importantly, we touched a lot of lives.
Come on, Gary. You got to talk about it. You got to tell everyone how much money you made. That's what's really important. Nothing else matters as long as you made money, Gary. So, I don't know, guys. I find this video to be really funny because it's very clearly, this was very clearly done so that the lawsuit would go away. If you don't know, there's the whole lawsuit with Carl Jobst and Billy Mitchell that just ended. Carl Jobst lost that lawsuit. Lawsuits, whether you win or lose, they take an immense amount of time and energy. They're the focus of your life, basically, and they're very expensive. So I understand why Gary Brecka probably wanted this to go away, even though there's very clearly still a bunch of bad blood between these two individuals. But he understood that, hey, I don't want this to be the focus of my life right now. I don't want to spend hundreds of thousands or potentially millions of dollars on this. I just want this to end, right? Even with like the Carl Jobst lawsuit, if you've seen the information that's come out, and apparently Discord, he's talked about how before the case ended, he believed he was going to win. And he didn't win, he lost. So even if you think you're going to win, it could potentially go very bad for you, and it could cost you a lot of money. So I understand why Gary Brecka wanted to end this, but it's very clearly like he did not want to be in this situation where he wants to apologize to Grant. It's something he had to do according to the settlement. Now, this next clip I want to look at is very interesting, where it talks about how Gary, when he initially brought up that he was suing Grant, he went on a few different podcasts. The first podcast he went on was a YouTube channel called Growing Up in Scientology by Aaron Smith-Levin. He's a former Scientologist that left years ago. I actually interviewed him about 2 years ago on the channel. He did that, and then he eventually went on the Patrick Bet David podcast and talked about Grant Cardone as well. So I want to show this clip where Grant kind of goads Gary into be like, hey, you shouldn't have gone on those podcasts and talked about me. And then they talk about Scientology a little bit, which I want to briefly touch on as well after I show this clip.
Trying to handle some of these people that hate me, the podcast that you do where there's maybe some people that just don't like me, that encourage you to do an interview, and I think tried to suck you into some things.
Yeah.
And maybe once you were there, you realized, oh, these people don't like him.
Yeah, or like parts about you that I have no issue with.
They had intentions other than the intentions I think you had.
Yeah. I mean, I got onto some of these and I realized I'm not here to attack anybody's religious beliefs on what they choose.
Yeah. So, in fact, I mean.
Now I'll clarify that right now. I've never had any issues with what you choose to believe in.
Of course. I mean, who would? Only a bigot. Only a bigot. Only a religious bigot would have problems with somebody's religion.
So only a religious bigot would have a problem with Scientology. I'd have to disagree with that, but apparently, according to Grant, I'm a religious bigot because I'm going to talk negatively about Scientology for a minute now. Right now, most people's religions, I don't really care what you believe, but Scientology is not a religion. If you don't know, Grant Cardone is a Scientologist. Has been in for a long time, given the Church of Scientology a ton of money. And Scientology, in my opinion, is not a religion at all. It is a scam that was made less than 100 years ago, and it was designed to make one man very rich. Now, if you don't know, Scientology was created, I believe, in the 1950s by a man named L. Ron Hubbard, who was a science fiction writer. Okay, he wrote science fiction books. Wasn't super successful until he started his religion, Scientology. But what's really interesting about his religion, Scientology, is that if you actually do your research, and you don't have to believe me, there's plenty of quotations of things that he's said over the years all over the internet. You can look this up yourself. But he said repeatedly before he started the religion, you don't get rich writing science fiction. If you want to get rich, you start a religion. That's from L. Ron Hubbard, the founder of Scientology, right? Another quote from the Los Angeles Times, circa 1978, says, "Writing for a penny a word is ridiculous. If a man really wanted to make $1 million, the best way to do it would be to start his own religion," right? Another guy, Sam Marin, who knew L. Ron Hubbard personally, says, "I always knew he was exceedingly anxious to hit big money. He used to say he thought the best way to do it would be to start a cult." So there is a bunch of factual evidence to support that the founder of Scientology, L. Ron Hubbard, created it specifically to make a bunch of money. That's all it is. It is a scam to make money. It made L. Ron Hubbard a bunch of money. He died a while ago. I don't remember off the top of my head the guy. I'll put it on the screen. But the new guy who runs Scientology, he's incredibly wealthy as well. Okay? So this is not a religion. It's a scam designed to make a bunch of money. So I really don't have any problem making fun of Scientology because it's not a religion at all, right? And I do find it quite funny that Grant Cardone, who I personally believe is a scammer, many people believe that as well, is involved in a scam as well, which is Scientology, designed to just make the guys at the top very, very wealthy. The guy who founded it said that. He said, you want to get wealthy, start a religion. Now, this next clip I want to show you shows how incredibly passive-aggressive Grant Cardone is. Like I said before, there's clearly a bunch of bad blood still. But Grant points out in the interview, says, "Gary, we told you, we didn't make you invest in Cardone Capital. You did that on your own accord, and now you've made a bunch of money, right?" And Gary's like, "Yeah, I made money." And then Grant adds in post in the editing, he adds, "Oh, you made a ton of money." He's got to point out how much money Gary actually made. Because again, everything is about money when it comes to Grant Cardone. That's all he cares about, just money. You made so much money with Gary, so much money with me, Gary. You're crazy not to invest more money with me.
Cardone Capital, I think you said that you were forced to put that money in Cardone Capital.
The suggestion at the sale was to put the money into Cardone Capital, and we did. We voluntarily put it in it.
Okay. Have you been paid every month?
Yes, we've been paid every month.
Yeah, in fact, you invested $250,000. We distributed $34,769 for a return of almost 14% of your investment, but you made it sound like we forced you into what would become one of your best investments.
Grant has to constantly show people, look how much money you're making with me. You should invest more with me. Now, the last clip I want to show you is very interesting. It's at the end of the video. And Grant specifically calls out his haters. He doesn't mention me, which I have to say I'm a little disappointed about Grant, but he mentions some of the other podcasts that were talking badly about Grant Cardone, and I want to show this clip, and then we'll talk about it.
You clickbaiters out there.
Yeah.
This is all I got for y'all. Okay? Yeah, and to the Justin Grinko. Oh, that's your real name, isn't it, JT? You jealous punk. Wanna be me so bad. I live rent-free in your head. And to the piece of garbage Aaron boy growing up as a religious bigot. Your life is so miserable, you punk. And to both of you, keep clickbaiting that name. Grant Cardone's my name. I grew up on the bayou. Now I fly right by you. You blow on my name and you brought me fame.
That just seemed incredibly childish for Grant to do that. He called out two people, the JT guy, I don't know who that is, but the other guy, Aaron Smith Levin, is the guy that Gary Brecka initially went on He's an ex-Scientology member, makes a bunch of videos ragging on Scientology now. And Grant decided to call that guy out, using his name for fame. I got to be honest with you, Grant. I'm a little upset you didn't include me in your haters list. I'm not trying to trash on anyone, but the growing up on Scientology video covering the Gary Brecka, I think that got like 40,000 views, and then my video covering Gary Brecka got like 70,000 views. So again, not bragging. I'm just like, Grant, I'd love to be on your haters list. Make fun of me at the end of the next video. That'd be great. But what's really interesting about that is, from my understanding, Aaron Smith-Levin is a former Scientologist, and from what I understand about the cult, you're not supposed to talk about ex-Scientology members because basically you're raising their status, right? Grant Cardone has a massive channel, 2.8 million subscribers. So him talking about Aaron Smith-Levin is undoubtedly going to cause people to go to that guy's channel and watch his videos about the negativity of Scientology now. So I wonder if Grant's going to get in trouble with the church for throwing Aaron Smith-Levin's name in there like that. I don't think he's supposed to do that at all. You're never supposed to mention someone who left the church. They basically don't exist once they leave Scientology if you're still in Scientology, right? So I don't know why he did that. But there you go. There's the breakdown of the Gary Brecka, excuse me, the Gary Brecka and Grant Cardone. The lawsuit is now over. Like I said, I think everyone would have liked to see Grant Cardone go down in flames and lose the lawsuit. But I understand why the lawsuit was ended. Any lawsuit is going to be incredibly expensive and time-consuming, and you never know if you're going to win. Like with the Carl Jobst lawsuit, he lost, obviously. So I understand why Gary just wanted to get it over with. But obviously the video that he did with Grant on his channel looks like some sort of hostage negotiation video. It looks really weird. I'll have a link to the full video if you want to check it out. It does not look like he wants to be there at all. But let me know in the comments below what you think about Grant Cardone and Gary Brecka now that they have squashed their beef and apparently they're going to be working together in the future. Let me know in the comments below.